What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the shop. And behind me, well, you guys know it, it's T-Rex Big Bear number 2. And today we're going to tackle the front wheel bearings. So I'm going to keep this intro super short. Let's get right into it. So in the previous video, I was pointing out that this wheel, the passenger, or sorry, I guess the left wheel when you're sitting on the bike, was the worst. But I was looking at it from the outside here. But if you guys take a look right down there, there's a big component that I completely missed. Yeah, and that is the lower ball joint. Yes, in fact, I mean, we do have a bad wheel bearing on this side. Actually, they're both bad. We're going to change both. The right side isn't so bad, but let's tackle this side to see, well, I mean, how bad it really is. Let's start by gaining access, and that is by removing the tire. So a couple of 17 mil nuts here. And we'll just put that off to the side over here. Now we can see exactly what we're dealing with and hope that we can deal with the wheel bearing not too difficultly. But yeah, now with all that apart, you can see it in the drum. It's definitely not doing so well. So let's take off the drum. We're going to need to remove this cotter pin. I'm going to guess at this one, but I'm going to say it's probably a 21. And with the cotter pin out of the way, am I correct? Is it in fact a 21? No, it's quite a bit larger than that. But look at this. It doesn't even matter. It's loose. So we're going to remove it without having to make too much noise. Save battery life on our impact. This should just come right apart. I mean, it's already halfway there, right? There we go. And in here, well, let's take a closer look, see what our brake situation is all about. Well, there's still a tiny bit of material left on the shoe here. You know, there's some over here. And yeah, so the bottom is in the same situation. Actually, the bottom is basically nothing left. So yeah, if we do get these going, I'm going to see if we can purchase a new set of shoes. But like every other Big Bear I've ever worked on, they don't work. The hydraulic system on these is like these slave cylinders and these master cylinders, or sorry, wheel cylinders. I don't know, they're hard to bleed. They don't provide that much pressure, and nothing is adjustable on the fly. Like, I mean, it's not auto adjusting. You have to go back in here and keep clicking these so that the brakes actually maintain adjustability. So when you hit the lever, it feels like you're stopping, or it's actually contacting the inside of the drum. So that's kind of a common problem with these, but let's address that in the future video. I really want to get those wheel bearings out. So let's continue on. So I think the easiest way for me to tackle the wheel bearings will be for me to remove the lower ball joint right here at the nut, get that out of the way so that I can turn the knuckle and have the axle just kind of slide out of those bearings. So there is a cotter pin on the inside, so I'm going to remove that cotter pin and remove the bolt. And yeah, you can see I'm just prying on that lower ball joint with my pliers, and it's pretty terrible. So I won't lie to you, I don't remember replacing one on Jurassic or Big Bear number 1. So I don't know, it seems to be welded. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Hopefully I don't have to replace the whole A-arm, because that might suck. That might be expensive, or maybe not even available anymore. So we'll have to see that very shortly, but let's remove the nut on the back side of here and then remove the bolt. Luckily, this is coming out pretty easily, and with any luck, this should just come out. I'm gonna have to probably go get my pry bar and help it along. Okay, well, that doesn't seem to be working with the pry bar, so maybe a little bit of love taps. Yeah, see, there you go. That's coming out. Awesome. So that should give us enough room now to slide the axle through the knuckle. If that doesn't work, I'll have to look at my other video because I've done this before. I just don't remember the entire procedure. Okay, so you just don't have enough room. I tried everything. So let's take the upper ball joint apart and see if we can just bang that loose. I'll still have the tie rod holding everything together, so I shouldn't have to worry too much about the brake line. And that is loose. Now clearly that is still in there, but I want to show you a trick, and hopefully it works on camera. But if you, I guess I can take the washer out there too. Take a hammer, put it right where the knuckle would be, and you give it a good whack with another bigger hammer, it usually falls free. Let's try it again. Now it broke free. Now it broke free. See? Just had to be in the right angle. So now I should be able to pop all this out. That's much more gooder. So yeah, looking at this ball joint, it does appear to be welded, so I guess I'm gonna have to start digging to see if I can get this. Otherwise there might be a kit where you drill it out. I don't know. If you guys do know, comment down below, because I don't think I've had to deal with this before. But I have had to deal with these types of bearings. So let's pull these out, put them on the bench and see what we have. So now that I have the seals pulled out, sometimes, because this is kind of flopping around, what you can do is put it back in place loosely, so when you're hammering away with a punch, you've got something to hold it. Now you don't want to put it all the way back, because then you're going to have to take it all apart, in the sense that if you zip it all in, it's going to have to be done the same way you did it earlier. But if you grab yourself a hammer, and now you have a punch, I'm just going to use a small cold chisel here, and I'm going to go inside, and I'm going to try and catch the edge of one of these bearings and push it out. And that'll, once I get one out, it should be easy enough to take the coupler out inside, or the spacer, and then push it out the opposite way. And there's one. There's that spacer I'm talking about. You don't want to lose this, because when you push your bearings in, this takes up the space. And then hopefully you can tap the other one from the inside out. Might have to get a longer punch for this. And out she flies. Okay, let's take them to the bench and take a quick look. Now let's take a look at these old bearings. So, not the worst I've seen, but clearly not the best. This one happens to be pretty smooth. There's still a little bit of life left in this one. This one on the, I forget now which one was which, but this one, yeah, you can hear it. And actually, you can also feel it. One of them, during the ride that I took, was just making a real racket, and it was coming in from that side. So that's why I knew I had to replace them. And they do have a little bit of play, and you can see the grease is starting to come out the seal, so they might have been in here for a while. They're not original. I'm not putting original bearings in either, but I got a bit of a trick up my sleeve to try and make them last a little longer. So if you guys are interested in, you know, buying or doing this job, these are simply just 6006 bearings. They're 2RSs, meaning that there's 2 radial seals, one on each side. I just went to my local power sports store. In our case, it happens to be Royal Distributing. No, that's not it. These are the U-joints that I'm going to be doing in a future video. This is probably the bearings. Yes. So they come as a kit with the seals, and that's the reason why I like going and buying it, because you've got the seals. The other ones were probably reusable, but nothing wrong with putting in new ones. But the trick I've got is, you probably know this, or you've probably seen me do this in the past, using a nice clean surface to work with. I'm going to open up these bearings, and I'm going to show you exactly how little grease they come with. Now, some people say it's probably enough grease. Clearly it is, because these are lasting as long as they do, but it's not an easy job. I want to make sure I have maximum amount of grease. So using just a fine flat screwdriver, I'm going to go on the inside of the lip here. I'm just going to gently open it up. You're not destroying anything as long as you don't tear the seal. And if you do, well, guess what? You've got more here. Hopefully you're still in good shape. But just don't tear it. Just move the seal out of the way, and then you can remove the cover. And I'm going to get the camera nice and close, and I'll show you what is in here. So this is what we have for grease in there. It's not a lot. Now, when I was in school and we were greasing bearings by hand, we used to hand pack them. We didn't have any fancy tools to do it. You would basically fill in 1/2 so that you could see the grease coming out on the other side. This is more than I was expecting, to be honest with you, but I have a pretty good grease that I use and I've had very good luck with. Not sponsored, but it's a Castrol Blue Perplex NLGI1. It's a #1 grease. It's a little bit on the thinner side, but it's great. It's super tacky, so I like it for wheel bearings. So that's what we're going to pack it with. We're going to do both, or actually I guess all 4, and then we're going to throw that back together, and hopefully it's going to be a little bit tighter, minus of course the lower ball joint. So I don't have a lot of this left. I mean, it's kind of like Alex in Legit Street Cars with his special Mercedes-Benz sunroof grease. I'm going to only use what I need, but I'm just going to take some with my finger, which is clean, and then just kind of push that in there. Now, ideally, you should be probably starting with a clean bearing with no other types of grease in there. That way you don't intermix greases, but this is like basically Vaseline in there, so I'm not too concerned. But here we go, a little bit more on this one, and it just makes me feel that much better. We got enough grease all around to make sure that it's not going to run hot, or that if there happens to be a little bit of water, it's not going to get washed out. This grease tends to be, like I said, it's very tacky. It doesn't seem to be easily washed out. So this is about what we have now. Put the cover back on, or the seals, I should say. And there's one. So I'm going to do both. Actually, since I'm in here, I'm going to do all 4. And then we're going to put all that back together, see how it looks. All right, so bearings going back in. And again, this is a preference. You don't have to do this, but this is how I'm going to be doing it. The sides that I greased, which I can already tell they're still full of grease, I'm going to be putting towards the outside. The reason I'm doing that is because I know that those have the most amount of grease around the lips, so that when I'm driving through water or anything like that, these bearings are going to stand the best possible chance of not getting washed out like we talked earlier. I know there's seals. These are cheap kits, guys. I mean, if you really want your bike to last We've talked about this before. There's a video about it that I did about the carburetor, for example. OEM parts are your way to go. I'm on a budget. I couldn't spend the money on OEM seals and bearings, so here we are greasing bearings and kind of making do. I think I'm going to have a long life out of these, but again, this is just a preference. So I'm going to put probably the inside one here first, because it's probably the one that's going to be a little bit harder to tap in. Then I can deal with putting that spacer. And you want to try and tap this in evenly, and if you can and you have the time, freeze your bearings. That way they take up a little bit less room in that boss, and they should slide in that much easier. So nice little tap, slide all that back together, and then yeah, we'll see how it feels. Well, that last seal, this one here on the inside, that was a bit of a chore, but I finally got it. Just a little bit more persuasion with the hammer. So that's good. So I've put a little bit of grease on that as well, so it seals against the axle. So I'm not going to button this side too much, because I think I got to come back in here for that lower ball joint. But let's go as far as at least putting the axle back in and maybe buttoning up the upper ball joint, because we know that one's good. Just like that. Put our washer and then our castellated nut, and we're going to tighten this up nice and tight so that we don't end up with any issues. And of course, a new cotter pin, because you never want to reuse old cotter pins unless of course you have no other option. But if you're at home and you have the option, put a new one in. Right there, nice new cotter pin going in, and as you can see guys, it's snug. It's not loose. If you can put the right size cotter pin, that is always the recommended method of doing it, because then it doesn't allow the nut to get any slack, right? So I like to just tap that flush and then bend it so that we're not going to catch anything. I like to bend it back into one of these other castellations. So, or you can just bend it in half. Doesn't necessarily matter. Just make sure that it's not going to come loose or fall out. And that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I'm going to continue on doing this side, because like I said earlier, we're going to do both sides, making sure that all the front is going to be in good shape bearing wise. And if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, all that other stuff. But I hope you guys come back to see me in a future video, hopefully very recently future video, where I'm going to tackle the U-joints on this thing. That should be interesting enough. So again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you out there. And if your bike is not in this shape, it's actually running really well, go enjoy the summer. Go spend a little bit of time with your family, ride some trails, and we'll see you all in the next video.